Hello and welcome. I am the Imperishable, and on today's episode, we're going to look at the three special characters that the Tomb Kings have access to. That is obviously Cetra himself, Prince of Pothas, which I'm definitely saying his name wrong, and Nikaf. Once again, I think I'm getting his name wrong. We're going to have a look at kind of breaking down their kind of stat line, what kind of role they're playing, and how we can kind of support them and use them most effectively. We're also obviously going through their special rules, and as I say, think of some tips and tricks of how to play them effectively. The first guy we're going to look at is Prince of Pothas, the Cursed Scarab Lord. So this is one of my favourite kind of looking models. I really like him. I love all the Scarab Swarms. I love the idea of him. So he is a cursed prince who tried to kill a king, and he's been cursed in this way. He's been sent from the underworld, and he has to reap rewards. So his rules then. He is a movement 4, weapon skill 4, ballistic skill 3, strength 4, T3, 4 wounds, initiative 1, 5 attacks, leadership 8 for 130 points. That stat line is pretty pants. The 4 wounds is quite nice for like a low character lore, like hero level kind of thing that we're looking at. But weapon skill 4 for an assassin type character is really low, given the fact that stuff like Chaos Warriors are weapon skill 5, and this guy is the assassin for the Tomb Kings basically. Strength 4, once again, really hammers him down. A T3, mate, a fireball just kills him. There's no way you're going about that. 5 attacks is quite nice. He's regular for infantry. He's on a 25 by 25, so he's a very small base. So he's very easy to hide about. You can play with low character, so that's quite good. He has hand weapons, swarming mass, and light armor. So he's only got 6 up save. He has ambushes, so you could play him with a high priest and kind of just start bringing him in and then moving him about. Fly 9, really nice this. This is what makes him actually semi-playable. Dominable 2, so when he gets into combat, he's not just going to crumble. He's got Kapesh. He's loner, so he can't join anything. He's Nakarian Undead, obviously. He's got a regen 5+, so this is quite nice. So he does have a 5+, and he doesn't have any flammable or whatnot. So Fireball, he does get a 5 up regen versus. He's the Scarab Prince, Urson's Reaper, and Terror. So far, there's 2 rules here that I really like. Okay, obviously, because he's an infantry character, you can play the lone character. He has Fly and Terror. He doesn't have Swiss Stride and whatnot, so his range is 15. The thing I want to play with, and I'm trying to force myself to play with for the next backcountry, is the idea of you hide him within a unit of skeleton skirmishers, not attached in, but so blocking him so he can't be targeted, but leaving a gap so he can charge out of and be like, okay, I can see that, you're within 15, I'm going to charge, I'm Terror, please do a Terror test. So he's a very cheap and efficient terror-causing thing. Okay, he's 130 points, he's Fly, he's lone character, he's a skirmisher, he can get places. And the idea is you don't even care about him getting into combat, you just want to terror off something important. And there's ways you can kind of set it up. Obviously with Necromancer, you start hitting it down. I get him down to these 3 or 4 with a couple Spiritual Vortex for your previous turn and a Spirit Leech, and you're charging in. Okay, you're there to cause the terror. Let's have a look at these special rules and then look about how I would play him and what we can use. So he is the Scarab Prince. So when he loses his last wound, before this model was removed from play, all enemy units within 2d6, so this kind of radius, suffer 2d6 strength 2 hits with AP 1. This isn't great. Strength 2, not great. AP 1 is nice to see because most of our city rules are AP 0. What is quite nice about this is how to kind of play him, in the sense of if you're versus someone with loads of MSU, really low, or massive infantry as we're trying to get to in the 1.5, just chucking them out there. Kill me, I'm going to hurt you. I might even get more than 130 points back, and I don't care. I go in for the terror, I die in the crumble, I blow up, I do wounds to you. Urson's Reaper, after deployment, nominate a single character in your opponent's muster list. So this is key, so if it comes back, so Green Knight, potentially, because it's on the muster list. Apostle from reroll any hits that hit or wounds. I've played this wrong. I always roll as hit or wounds ones against the character. Additionally, it has magical attacks, so this stops that ethereal. So what I would do in certain matchup, Brett, make it the Green Knight. When it comes in, just go for it. You've got 5 attacks, strength 4, he's T4. You're hitting on 4, hitting on 4s, rerolling, wounding on 4s, rerolling. AP -1 magical attack. You might hurt him, and then when you blow up, unfortunately, the attacks aren't magical. So maybe he does get magical attacks with his blow up. I wouldn't know how to judge it. So it's not the worst thing. Obviously, versus vampire counts, just do it into a Banshee or Cane Wraith. Just get those points easily. Hit something. Or usually, the best way to do it, he's a wizard catcher. He's after some wizards, lone wizards running about, or in a unit. You charge at him, you go in with something else that can take the challenge, and you try and kill a wizard. He then has swarming masses, and this is his breath weapon attack. Okay, it's breath weapon, so we already know it's not great. Strength for 2, not great. But the key thing is it always wounds on a 4 regardless of unit's toughness. So what's really key here is most infantry toughness 3, elite infantry are toughness 4, so your warriors chaos, your tomb guard, all that kind of stuff. Now, it's not great, it's a breath weapon, but because he's nimble enough, you hide him in the thing, you jump him out 9 inches to the side of the infantry character, and then you can do it. Also, what you can do to set him up, place him in ambush 12 inches away from you, 8 inches away, fly 9 again to get into a lovely kind of angle, and then breath weapon across. That's how I've been playing him. I played Brett's last night, and that's what I did. He probably actually killed like 20-minute arms, because he had these big bricks. We were playing missions, so I had to try and nail this down. That's what I did. Now, how to get stuff out of Prince Possoff. So, first off, I think you need to take an Elementalism Wizard. Okay, you just need it. The reason being is because if you get Plague of Rust, his breath weapon is amazing. Okay, you go down the side as I've played, you ambush him up, you go across, AP2 across the board, getting all that. His attacks then, also if he's charging in with a terror, he's getting -3 AP. Okay, 5 attacks, -3. You're going to potentially kill a character, kill a challenge, because in that point, you go into a unit, try terror and failed, you challenge the guy. If he falls back, you then try and hit the character that you're after, so that kind of thing, and that can help you there. Obviously, the other way of going is supporting with a Necromancy Wizard, and you try and terror bomb and all that. But I think Elementalism's better, because once again, you Plague of Rust that unit, you've got in charge, you failed the terror, you didn't really kill anything, you blow up. All right, these strength 2 hits, yeah, there's not many of them, but they're AP3. And that's the idea. He can get lots of damage out, very bad damage, but with buffing with a Plague of Rust, he can take things down. He's there for your anti-big bricks. And if that's the thing that's coming in 1.5, I think you're going to see him in a lot of places. Because I think you ambush him, 12 inches away from your guy with thing, fly him another 9, your breath weapon. And the other way of playing it is with the Necromancy, give him Spectral Steeds. Give him Ethereal, remains in play, hide that Necromancy Wizard somewhere else. Okay? Yes, a Fireball kills them off, but Fireball's not the easiest thing to get off, like a Ruby Ring, if you're versus that. If you're obviously versus Battle Magic Spam, good luck. But most armies probably only have 1 or 2 magic missiles. If you push up your level 4 in range, there's a good chance you ain't dying. And then when you go into combat, versus that Plutonian Men at Arms, or that thing, oh, I kill so much, okay? Oh, you win by 3, cool. I'm a Indomitable 1, a Indomitable 2. I just take the 1 wound, we're staying in combat, mate. You can't hurt me. That's right. That's another play. I think the best way of setting them up is either in that ambush and you're playing with the Elemental Wizard and you bring him up and fly, or you run a unit of skeleton skirmishers around him. Okay, you plonk him in the middle, surrounded by them, and you charge out. I think he's slept upon. He's got loads of good special rules. He's a lot of poison characters, I think, that lets him down. And he is easy to die, okay? But it's his utility that I really quite like, and I'm starting to play with him. So you'll start seeing him on the channel, especially for Black Country, because I'm forcing myself to play with him because I want to make him good. Okay, on to our second special character, and it is Nakath, the Emissary of Cetra. Okay, this guy is our new model that we got at the start of the year, at the start of the kind of old world, plus our big, obviously beautiful dragon. And this guy is so badass. Okay, he's got lovely scrolls, got scabs running around, really lovely models. I've got him here, I've sprayed him, I need to paint him. If I paint him badly, I'm going to buy one and get someone to paint him because he's beautiful. However, he isn't great in game. He's probably even worse than Prince Possoff because of the wording of his rule and how easy it is to kill. So let's go into it. He's movement 4, so he's just a normal infantry. He's weapon skill 5, which is nice. So you're in there with a prince. He's weapon skill 6. That's good. Ballistic skill 3 doesn't matter. Strength 4, toughness 4. So he's that kind of basic character lord. He's a herald. This is what he plays as. That's fine. 2 wins. Okay, 2 wins. Alright, you think that's fine? Okay. If I get into a challenge, I accept someone else. Cool, that's fine. We'll see about that. Initiative 4 is big. 3 attacks, he should pay 120 points. Initiative 4 is big because when we get into it, Urban Ramparts is the best way to play with him. He's regular infantry, so once again, he could be a lone character, but you always go run him in a unit. He has a Flail of Conquered Kings and light armor. Once again, just as a 6-up armor. Dry as Dust, flammable. So any flaming attacks, this guy's just dead. Burning Blade kills him in an instant. The 5-point magic iron just kills a 120-point unit. A Fireball, if you're an idiot and don't play him out, he's just dead. He's got Herald's Despair, Indomitable 2, which is nice. It goes to the unit. Killing Blow, so this is lovely. He's got Killing Blow on his data card. The current undead, 5-up regen, Setcher's Champion, and Swarm Protector. Swarm Protector is the Herald rule that if you're Tomb King or General, I think it's General, it might even just be Tomb King, it's near, you can pass the hit on to him. Which if you do that, you're just going to kill your guy. He has the Herald of Despair. Okay, this rule is awesome until you read it properly. So enemy unit that is in base contact with Gaff or any unit he has joined must roll an extra d6 when making a fear or terror test and discard the lowest. Okay, how I played this when I first tried to play with him. Big brick of Skeleton Warriors. I'm slowly moving up. I had a Tomb Prince in there going for that. Had the Terror Mask. Going for the charge. 3d6 terror. Choose the lowest. I've got a Necromancy Wizard. You're like leadership like 5. Cool. 3d6. You're fleeing. You're gone. You play it like that. Now, so let's read the rule. And also, sorry, when they're fearing, they're charging at you, I'm a big brick. You're always going to have to do your fear test unless you're immune to psychology kind of thing. 3d6 on that. Once again, I've got a Spiritual Vortex out there. You ain't charging me all day long. Now let's read the rule properly. An enemy unit that is in base contact. So you can never do a terror test because that only happens when you're not in base contact. And so you only get the fear once you're already in combat. I'm going to let you know, the Cath ain't going to survive that first round of combat. I think GW have made a mistake on this. They need to just get rid of that base contact and you would see him. Because he could force, I'm making you run away, and you could play with like small units and just dart him up there kind of thing. TMP, get him to a position to charge. Or he's in your big archer brick, you try and charge me, you ain't going anywhere. I'm not in a good position. I'm going to charge out with Skeleton Archers. Oh, you failed your terror checks. See you later, mate. But no, it's in that base contact. So this is what makes his idea of him just pointless. And he just makes him a bad herald. Anyway, let's carry on to the rest of it. So Setcher's Champion must always issue and accept challenges if possible. However, if challenges issued by them cannot be refused, so they cannot be refused. So if you really want to go after someone and you've got the initiative, sounds great. Don't forget you're on a movement 4 infantry model. You are not getting the charge off anything that's really of importance. In addition, while engaged in a challenge, the cast strikes a killing blow if he rolls a 5 or 6. Brilliant! So you're insta-killing that thing you're in combat with. Amazing. But once again, you're initiative 4 and you aren't charging. Obviously, how this rule works best is you just sit in a big brick of infantry and you're moving up slowly. Okay, you play with elemental wizards again. So you could play these two special characters together. You play them, you give them Earthen Ramparts because that stops them getting the initiative bonus because it makes it as if you're defending a load of home school. You're already initiative 4, so versus most basic infantry stuff, you are fine before. If you put a prince in there, you can get to initiative 7. So the idea is I'm going to strike for you. I've got weapon skill 5, I'm probably hitting 4s or 3s. I'm just praying for that 5 or 6. His weapon though is phenomenal. His weapon is awesome. So it's strength 2, AP 2. It's basically an Ogre Blade here. Magical attacks, multi-wounds 2 are phenomenal. So I think that's better than the Ogre Blade, the multi-wounds 2. So you just got consistency. Requires 2 hands. Yeah, there's not AP 3, Armor Bane, whatever. It's not striking last. Okay, so obviously a flail, so you only get that +2 strength in the first round of combat. That's an amazing. The issue is you're never going to fight with him. Unless you play with that Elementism, Earthen Ramparts, and you get charged and you get a killing blow. You only have 3 attacks to hit anyway. Good chance you're missing one of those. Chance to get your 5 or 6, not the greatest. In a combat, let's say you didn't get Earthen Ramparts and someone's charged you. You got 2 wounds with a 5-up regen. With Dry Dust and Flammable. You're just going to die. You'll die to a stomp. It's 120 points and you're giving up quite a lot. And he is a Royal Herald. But he doesn't have the BSB, he doesn't have anything that Royal Herald can give you. I was working out a really cool Royal Herald for a list of mine. It got him to 145 points, so 25 points more. I get my BSB. I've got the Armour of Ages, so I've always got a 5-up. He's not there to kill him. He's got the Amulet of the Serpent, so he's giving my unit poison. And he's got the Banner of the Desert Wind, so it's constantly giving my unit reserve move. So I don't even have to play. I can play with a Lore Familiar because that unit is getting its reserve move. 25 points more, you smash the calf out of the war. He's a really cool model. His rules let him down. And it's this name character syndrome where most of them are rubbish. They're more for lore friendly. But even in a narrative game, he's not doing anything. I think make him as weak as possible. Just get rid of that in base contacts with. Just make it any unit that has to do with test, a terror or a fear test versus the calf or his unit has to do roll an extra d6. Simple as. There's tech for that. 120 points ain't bad. You go down the next fancy route. Cool. You ain't charging me. Oh, I'm going to charge you. You're fleeing. Base contact is pointless. So I'm really sorry. He is probably, and it's even over Principles of, the coolest Tomb Kings model ever. But he's probably the worst. If you have found play with him, please let me know in the comments because I would love to know and I really want to try him. I want to run him in Tomb Guard. He looks cool. He's such a badass model. But he's just bad. I'm probably going to look to paint him up and just play him as my Royal Herald and be like, look, he's my Royal Herald. You know, he's got a scroll. It's his banner. Because he's just not good enough. On to our third and final special character, Setcha himself, the Imperishable, the Great King of Nekahara. He is a Tomb King and must be played as a Tomb King. So if you've got any army list that can run as Tomb King, you can. So the cult cannot have Setcha. He is a Weapon Skill 7, Ballistic Skill 3, Strength 6, T5, 3 Initiative, which is quite low. He's lower than the calf there, didn't realise that. 5 attacks, leadership 10, pretty awesome, and 445 points. He also has the Chariot of the Gods, which is Strength 5, T5, so you're always T5. 8 wounds, it's quite a lot. It's quite a lot. It's run by 4 skeleton steeds. I always thought lore-wise, I don't really feel it. I just wish his skeleton steeds were like better, like armoured or better, or give him 2 attacks each or something to make him not just the same as what my random guy on a horse rides. Let's make them special. So stat line already for 445 points. You're playing for like a Dragon Lord here. 8 wounds is kind of on the same thing. Weapon skill 7 is really nice because of my will be done. You can get to weapon skill 8 at that time you really want to hit. So it means you'll usually always hit on 3s. Or versus some decent infantry. Basic infantry you could be hitting on. Oh, you're already hitting on 2s anyway. Movement 8 is quite good because he is a heavy chariot on a very big base. 100 times 150. Stat line I'm not too upset with. It's a lot of points. T5 is quite bad. Obviously, Tomb Kings is slightly different for points because you can always res it up slowly, so you can chip away some get some wounds back. So, first point, if you're playing with Setcha, bring some low-level wizards, level 1, and just start popping them up 55 points. That could give you 2 or 3 wounds a turn, because if Setcha goes down, it's quite upsetting. And if he stays alive, he could probably go through a few things. Start of the bad things is, obviously, T5 is what lets him down. So he's not T6, so some stuff can really hurt him, like grey weapons and normal stuff starts going through him. He's got 4-up armor save. This is the Chariot of the Gods. The best thing Tomb Kings can have. He's got 4-up armor save. His equipment is the Blessed Blade of Petra, the Chariot of the Gods, the Crown of Nekahara, and the Scarab Brooch of Ursaron. And then there's Skeleton Hooves. So his weapon, his equipment is badass. They're all named stuff. Okay. He is a level 1, and he knows only from the lore of necromancy. That's quite cool. The reason well, there's obviously always, but in this, we'll get to it, he has to be your Hierophant. Special rules, he has Commander of the Legions, Curse of Necropolis, that's our worst rule in the game. Dry Stuff's Flammable, so this is where a Fireball really hurts him. Impact 6, 2d3, which is really good for a heavy chariot. Your variance goes around, your average is 4 Impact 6. Indomitable 3. So in those long-lasting combats, he's good. Lore of Nekahara, and this is key. If you roll on the spell that you don't know, the only one I would personally take is you just don't roll, you just choose, and you take the reroll ones to hit. Command range is 18 because you're on a heavy chariot. Was it 18 or was it say it's 12? I think his goes to 18. We'll look at one here. But the idea is, speaking of that, and it's always just affecting himself all the time. It's a low spell to get off. It's a self spell, so when you're in combat, it's great. Mine will be done, so this is the leadership test, pick things up. I would probably choose movement and net first, and then looking at initiative and weapon skill. Carrying on dead, region 5+, really good. I would love to have seen this be like a 4+, just because he is Cetra. Cetra does not kneel, and Cetra the Great. What's the love great about Cetra is obviously the man with many names. I love all the names of his special rules and his weapons. So Commander of Legions, he gets the Arise special rule, so the idea he can keep rezzing, and what's key is he may use it even when engaged in combat. So he can res himself a wound. So that's what you would do. You never arise anything else. You just arise yourself for a wound. Okay? You keep another level, a level 1 close-ish if you can, and that's how you can kind of push to get 2 wounds a turn on him. It's quite nice. Cetra does not kneel. He must accept every challenge. So this is where you charge into something. The lonely champion takes it. If you go into some Bretonian like men at arms, everyone just keeps challenging. You can get 2 or 3 in there. It's not the best. It's quite annoying. But the key thing is, actually, is they must accept anyway. So it doesn't have to always declare one. But if they want to try to stop those impact hits, which they would want to, they'll probably take the accept. Okay, unless Nakath Embassy of Cetra is there, which Nakath must accept the challenge on Cetra's behalf. Cetra the Great, so he is your general and must be your Hierophant, even if he doesn't have the highest level of wizardry. This is quite good if you want to play with like an illusion wizard on a dragon. You play them both because you can just send out that illusion dragon. If he dies, nothing happens. And you can keep resing himself. I quite like the idea of that. Maybe that's how you play it. And if he's in your, in addition, Cetra's range is 18-inch command range. And because he's got a big base, it affects quite a lot of the battlefield. So everything's got leadership 10. And this is where I talk about you go for that reroll ones to hit spell. Or potentially the reserve move spell. The reserve move spell is a 9 on the dice to get the big version. It's just quite hard to get. Chariots of God, obviously it's a heavy chariot, so it's AP 2 already. It has flaming and magical attacks in addition. And if you are on the Royal Host, he can join a unit of Tomb Guard chariots, which I think is interesting. Because he can give up some rules to them. You can take the shooting. Because I think the big thing that if let's say it's a shooting meta, he just goes down to shooting quite easily. Yes, we'll get into it. He does have triple save. 4 up, 5 up, 5 up. A lot of shooting will probably get through that. Chuck on the Tomb Guard. Okay, it's quite nice. He has the Crown of Nekakara. His My Will Be Done, so the movement, weapon skill, and initiative thing, affects everything within 6 inches of him. So once again, this is how you can start buffing other big characters or stuff that can't be buffed by it. Or if you're playing with this big brick of chariots and you want multiple things to be affected, it's the way to do it. It's really quite interesting. There, he has the Scar Approach. Cetra is a 5+ wall versus anything. Once again, and I just come from this, it's Cetra. Like, he's the one who's battled against Nagash and all this kind of thing in the end times and whatnot. I feel like he should have either had like a 4-up regen, probably 4-up regen because he's flammable, and because he's flammable and dry sass, or even like a 4-up ward or some more wounds, or T6 at least. I look at it from a maths standpoint and the laws of averages. T5 thing, a big target, it's just getting shot down. And he's got the Blessed Blade of Petra, which is strength S, so he's strength 6, so you're strength 6, which is nice. AP 3, flame attacks, magical attacks. And the key thing is, if anyone suffers a wound, they are -1 to hit for the rest of the game. Okay, so the Cetra is great versus the other lords, because you make him -1 to hit. You go to weapon skill, your weapon skill anyway, 7, so most lords are hitting 4s, they go up to back up to 5s. So there's a good chance you're just not getting hit by anything, which is really nice. And if you play with a casket, keeping with him at 18, everything hits him on a 6 or worse. Right, it's pretty good. Cetra's got loads of rules. I think a big issue with Cetra is he's a lot of points that you have to build around him. Because you play like the Unkillable Dragon, you play and all those types of things, or Wizard Spam. Like, if you lose your Unkillable Dragon, it's not the end of the day. You lose Cetra, you lose your Hierophant, you lose your General, you're losing lots of things. And he's not got the flexibility of a flying dragon. He can't fly 20 inches. He can't charge large targets or fly over things. But he does have a bit of special place. And I think this is probably, I'm going to set myself and try and play these special characters in ways. Bar Nakath, because he's rubbish. But with Cetra, there's a couple ways you can play with it. Okay, he is a chariot, and I need to read the rule properly because it might not. He doesn't have large targets, so you can hide him behind things. Chariot runner. If you're a chariot, you can see and charge through them. So this is where you play with a large unit of skeleton horse archers. Okay, you put them in between some bricks or whatever, and you move them up with them. You put those skeleton horse archers in front. Can't be seen. Setra's not getting shot. We're moving on up. We're moving on up. Okay. And then you charge what you want to charge. Okay. That's a big way, I think, of keeping him alive and getting the most use out of him. Okay. He probably wants to go into the other big thing. Not so you can kill him, because he's only got 5 attacks, straight 6. There's no multi-damage. It is AP 3, I believe. AP 3. So it does go through armor quite a lot. But stomps hurt him quite badly and whatnot. But he can hold up anything. And there's a good chance he gets 1 wound wound with this Betrayal weapon. The Sword of Betrayal. The Blessed Blade of Betrayal. So it makes him really hard to hit and be hurt. And you go to weapon skill 8. They might fail a fear test and whatnot. There is playability with him. And I might force myself after the Black Country, after I force myself to play with Prince Possoff, to play with Cetra to see what I can get from him, how to play him, because I want to see him on the battlefield. I've got 2 different 3D prints of him. One of them, I didn't like the horses, broken. I thought it was too much. It wasn't Cetra. It's all about Cetra. It's all about him. So I've got a basic one. I probably am going to go buy the real one just so I can play with it because I've got like the real casket. But I think the ways to play him, there's 2 ways to play. Obviously in Royal Host or Grand Army. If you go Grand Army, you just play kind of like a normal army. He just becomes your Tomb King on Dragon, right? You just play it the same, okay? I would play with potentially like an Elemental Wizard, probably, to buff him up in certain ways. Or, yeah. And with a level 1, just to keep him up. And then playing with potentially a Poison Brick or some more chariots to go up with him. Or you play him in Royal Host and you run him with a Tomb Guard chariots, but then it starts getting quite expensive for this big brick, and then you've got to think, how can I buff him? What can I get with that? Because if he's in a Tomb Guard chariot unit, he has to, I think, size-wise, he has to awkwardly be on the edge, I believe, so it's really annoying. But what you can do with him is then, because it's a unit, he's allowed to join the unit, you join in other characters, so you can buff him via the other characters. I don't really know what magic items you could do to look to buff him, but the first stuff I know is you chuck him in with a war banner just so there's upping on that kind of thing. I'm trying to think what else you can do to support him. I really don't know, but that's my only thought process, is because you can make him a super unit. Cetra's your main piece. He's there to accept every challenge, and then everything else goes through. And maybe you make a Death Star with Cetra and 2 other Tomb Kings on chariots, and you play around that in a big unit of Tomb Guards with a big unit of Skeleton Horse Archers in front of you, or maybe even a min-sized unit of Skeleton Chariots, because at that point, any shoot that goes into it, you've got to do the awkward split. So that unit probably isn't dying to shoot in. So that's one way I think of potentially playing him. I'd say the other way is in that Grand Army, and you just play him as your Tomb King on Dragon. It's not as survivable. You can potentially keep getting a wounded turn. But being flammable, dry as dust, little things like that. 4-up armor save, no rerolls. T5 is what's letting him down. He's really cool. I want to see him more on the battlefield. I'm looking at his rules. There's nothing I would change or do differently or trying to add on it. But yeah, I think he's got a place to play, but I just think there's better options. Potentially with a change in 1.5, if they change certain things, certain combos cost too much so you can't bring them in. Maybe they up it so that Armour of Ages is like 65 and the Talisman Protection is 40, so you can't do the combo to Unkillable Dragon as easy. So then Cetra has a place. But I think he's got some play. I'm going to try it out over the summer, see what I can do. I'm going to paint them up. I say probably buy the real one as well and try and compare and just see how it goes. So there are 3 special characters. Overall, they're not game breaking, and I don't really think there's any any special character that is game breaking, but maybe the Green Knight. But I'm not this anti-Green Knight player. I think there are ways to beat him. A unit of your Shabby with a champion beats him all the time, kind of thing. You keep resing the champion, you get more combat res in there. He might whiff a casket. There's ways to stop the Green Knight. I'm not afraid of the Green Knight, but our special characters, they're all right. They've got some play. So as I say, Prince Potoff, I think has got the most utility because he can fill multiple roles depending how you want to play and what your verse is. If your verse is like a cavalry spam list or like MSU, you just don't really play with him much. If your verse is big bricks of infantry, you do the shout, go in, spray elementals and plague of rust. You hurt them that way. And if he dies, brilliant. You want him to die at a point. Or if they've got some big chunk units that aren't immune to psychology, you look to bring down leadership, or you go for that terror test. You make him ethereal so he can't just die. I think that's really good. Cetra, as we said, he's a big point sink, but he has a lots of rules. And he's worth those rules. So I don't think actually making him any cheaper would be fair on the rules you get. It's just he doesn't fly. He's not a large target, so he can't be shot out. That is big. And he can hold in any fight with anything, basically. Indomitable 3 is massive. Even if you go creaming into infantry, you're not going to crumble, you're not going to lose any wounds, you can't flee. So he's very survivable if he gets into combat. So I'd say I'm going to look to try and play with him. The calf, greatest model in the entire army. Absolutely rubbish model. Please let me know if you can play with the calf. So thank you for all for listening. Please like and comment, subscribe. Sorry, I'm doing all the YouTube stuff. And as I said, if you want to support me, the best way to do it, the only way to do it really at the moment, is through Firestorm Games. Please use my affiliate down below. They give great deals on everything, not just Warhammer. So as I say, I get my board games, Disney Locana from there. I get all my paints from there as well, because I play at Firestorm quite a lot as well. So it'd be really great if you could, if you're going to buy something, just use that link down below. So thank you guys, and ta-ra.